In a town near here, not far from where you live, all the children rode to school on buses. But none of the children knew about the 10 rules of school bus safety. They were noisy. They blocked the door and the aisles. They hung out the windows. They stood up in their seats. And some were always late. It's not that they were bad children. They just did not know the rules. One of the children who did not know about the 10-foot rule ran right in front of the bus and was almost hit by a car. The next morning in the busman's office, the telephones rang and rang. Something was wrong. The buses were not picking up the children. But why? The principal of the school called the busman and wanted to know why the children were not in school. Something strange was going on in the bus yard, and the busman was going to find out what it was. When the busman got to the bus yard, he saw a very peculiar sight. There was the mechanic talking to the buses and waving his arms wildly. When the busman asked the mechanic what was going on, he told the busman, "The buses are talking." The busman laughed. "Buses can't talk," he said. "It's impossible." "Look for yourself," said the bus mechanic. Can you guess what happened next? To the busman's surprise, the buses could talk. With lights flashing and horns honking, the buses yelled out, "We're not moving. No more child abuse. Yeah, we've had it." The busman walked up to the buses. "Now, hold it. What's going on here?" he asked. The busman threw his arms in the air and said, "I don't believe I'm talking to school buses." The first bus looked him right in the eye and told him, "We've had it. We're not going to pick up any children unless they start following the rules of school bus safety." "Pete's right," said the second bus. "One of these days, someone is going to get seriously hurt because he didn't follow the rules." The third bus rolled up and said, "Yes, the children must learn and obey the rules." "Wait a minute," said the busman. "Let me get this right. You're not picking up the children because of some silly rules?" The buses went wild. "The 10 rules of bus safety are far from silly," cried the fourth bus. Then all the buses joined in. "Yes, and the children must learn and practice them." The busman got out his pencil and paper and began to write down the rules. Bus number 1 rolled forward and said, "There are 10 rules for school bus safety. The first rule is, wait for the bus on the sidewalk and no fooling around." The busman wrote down rule number 1, wait for the bus in an orderly manner. Then he added, "I hope this doesn't take all day." Well, some children do think they have all day. They are never on time. "Every morning, we have to wait for a few late stragglers," said bus number 3. The busman carefully wrote down rule number 2, be on time. Bus number 4 said, What burns my transmission are the kids who stop and visit with their friends. The busman wrote down rule number 3. Go directly to your seat. Sometimes a few children must stand, said bus number 2. But what curls my paint are the kids who stand on the steps and block our view of traffic. The busman wrote down rule number 4. If you must stand, stay behind the white line. Then he said, look, can't we talk about this later? The children are waiting. The buses went crazy. The busman backed away. Okay, let's hear the rest of the rules. After the buses calmed down, bus number 4 cleared his throat. I hate it when the children don't keep the aisles clear. If there were an emergency, getting off the bus could be a real problem. The busman was beginning to see why all the buses were so angry as he wrote down rule number 5. Keep the aisles clear. If you want to talk about someone being seriously hurt, said bus number 3, what about the children who put their arms and heads out of the windows? That's a deadly game to play. Yes, that is a dangerous game, said the busman as he wrote down the rule. Rule number 6 is keep heads and arms inside the bus. All of the buses yelled out, now you're getting the idea, Mr. Busman. The busman smiled and asked, what about the children who don't stay in their seats? The ones who walk around on a moving bus. Isn't that dangerous too? It surely is, said bus number 2. If the bus stops short, they can get hurt by being thrown to the floor or jammed into the metal posts on the seats. The busman wrote down the 7th rule. Stay in your seat. When the busman asked what the next rule was, bus number 1 spoke up. The next complaint we all have is that the children make too much noise. We can't hear a fire engine or other emergency vehicles approaching. The busman wrote down rule number 8. Keep the noise down. Bus number 4 had to clear his throat again. Another problem is when the kids are ready to get off. They get up from their seats before we stop. Then they push and shove, trying to get off the bus first. The busman read rule number 9 aloud as he wrote it down. Stay in your seats until the bus stops. Then leave the bus in an orderly manner. Okay, that just about does it, said the busman. It's very late and you're long overdue. What do you say we pick up the children now? The buses went wild. What's wrong now? Asked the busman. Bus number 1 yelled out, you forgot rule number 10, the most important rule of all. This one really frosts my windshield. Some children get off the bus and run either in front or behind of the bus without looking for oncoming cars. We're afraid that someday a car won't obey our flashing red lights and hurt one of the children. The cars must stop, cried the busman. It's the law. But bus number 1 reminded the busman that some cars don't stop. And the child who runs right out in front of the bus doesn't stand a chance. That is the most important rule, said the busman, and he wrote it down. Cross at least 10 feet in front of the bus, and only after the driver has given the signal that it is safe to cross. The busman looked at his list and said, now let's see if I have it all down. Rule number 1, wait for the bus in an orderly manner. Rule number 2, be on time. Rule number 3 is go directly to your seat and sit down. Rule number 4, if you must stand, stay behind the white line. Rule number 5 is keep the aisles clear. Rule number 6, keep your head and your arms inside the windows. Rule number 7 is stay in your seat. Rule number 8, keep the noise down. Rule number 9, stay in your seat until the bus stops. Then leave in an orderly manner. Rule number 10 is cross at least 10 feet from the front of the bus, and only after the driver has given the signal that it is safe to cross. That's it, right? That's right, cried the buses. Now, what are you going to do about it? The busman thought for a moment, and then he said, I am going to make sure that every student in the school district learns the 10 rules of school bus safety. The buses cheered, honked their horns, and flashed their lights. They were very, very happy. By the way, do you know the 10 rules of school bus safety?
Wait for the bus on the sidewalk and no fooling around. Stay in an orderly manner. Be on time. Go directly to your seat. Please do not run. Head and hands inside the bus. Do not clutter the aisle. If the bus is crowded, please stand behind the white line. Hush, 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 keep the noise down. The driver must be able to hear. It's dangerous to run. You could easily fall and get hurt, hurt, hurt. Stay in your seat till the bus stops, then leave in single file. Don't distract the driver. Her job is hard to do. You must watch and listen for those cars. If you cross in front of the bus, keep a distance of 10 feet. Watch for the driver's signal, then go and cross the street. If the bus is crowded, please stand behind the white line. Hush, 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 keep the